Hello everyone, welcome to this video tutorial series on Java Technologies Lab. Today we are going to look at program 10. So the aim of program 10 is to write a client server application using Java's RMI. So RMI means Remote Method Invocation. Okay, Remote Method Invocation. So what is the use of remote method invocation is if you have a Java program on your system, let's say it is the client, so your Java program can communicate with another Java program which is running on another system. Okay, so both of these systems can be in the same network, or they can be in different places, that is different locations, right? They might be in the same geographical area or different geographical areas, anywhere basically. Okay, so generally, simply saying what is the use of RMI is, it is used to create distributed applications. Okay, and which means simply a Java program on one machine can communicate with another Java program on another machine through this API. Okay, the API's name is RMI, Remote Method Invocation. Okay, so for this, what we need to do is we have to create a specific object called stub on the client side, and another specific object called skeleton on the server side. Okay, and these objects communicate through internet, right? So we will have stub on the client side and we will have skeleton on the server side. Okay, so that is the thing. And let's see some description of RMI. So as I already told you, it is a Java API, application programming interface, which is used to create distributed applications. All right. Okay. Now, what is the generic thing is, it basically allows an object on one system to invoke methods on an object which are running on another system. Okay, another system means it is running inside JVM, Java Virtual Machine. Okay, uh, and as I said, we will use or create stub and skeleton for this purpose. Okay, now let's see something about stub. So as you have seen in the diagram that is here, stub is always on the client side. Okay, stub is an object which is available on the client side. So all the outgoing requests from the client system are sent through the stub. Okay, all the outgoing requests from the client are sent through stub object. Okay, it is available on the client side. And now let's see something about skeleton. So it acts as a gateway for the server side object. Okay, you have seen in the diagram, right? So skeleton is on the server side. Okay, and all the incoming requests are going through skeleton. Okay, and once it takes the request, it will associate the request with the actual remote object which is running on the server. Okay, so once the remote object processes the request, the result will be transmitted to the caller again by the skeleton object. Okay, now let's see what are the basic steps that are required for creating a distributed application using RMI. So the first thing is you have to create something called remote interface. Okay, so in the demonstration, the first step we will be doing is creating a interface. Okay, now second step is once you create this interface, for this interface you have to provide the implementation class. Okay, for the interface you are creating in step one, you have to provide the implementation class. Now third step is, first you will compile the class that you have created in step 2, and then you will create the stub and skeleton object for that class using a specific tool called RMIC tool. Okay, so RMIC means RMI compiler. Okay, so using this RMIC tool, you will create the stub and skeleton objects. Now the fourth step is, you will run something called a registry service, so which is running on the server by using a tool called RMI registry tool. So this is the second new tool that you have to use, RMI registry, for creating a registry service. Now fifth step is start the server program, and the last step is you run the client program. So these are the different steps that are required for developing Java applications using RMI. Okay, now we are using Eclipse, right? So when you are using Eclipse IDE, there is no need to perform these steps 3 and 4. Okay, so you need to do the remaining 4 steps, which is create the interface, create the implementation class for the interface, start the server, and start the client. All right, now this is the output. So initially server will be displaying the message chat server is running. Then once you run the server, you will run the client. So the client will initially display connected to server, and it will also display the message, type a message for sending to server. Then you will send hi to the server. Then server will display this message, client says hi. Again from client you will send how. Again the server will display the same message. And finally you will send another message, and the same thing will be displayed by server. Okay, so that is some introduction to RMI. Now let's see the demonstration. So I have already created the project. The project name is RMI chart. Okay, now mm, let's see the first step. What is the first step? The first step is creating an interface, right? So this is the interface that I have created. So the interface name is RMI underscore chat underscore interface. Okay, so what you will do is, after creating the project, right click it, go to new, and click this interface. Okay, so in the name field, give some name like this, RMI chart interface, and click on finish. Okay, now all the code will be available in the video description, so you can download that file and you can copy the code if you want. And here in the interface, I think all of you know what is an interface, right? Interface is just a collection of abstract methods. Okay, or you say method declaration. So the methods will not have any body, right? Just the prototypes will be there. Okay, now at the top you can see some classes which are available in the package java.rmi. So we have imported 2 classes. One is remote, another one is remote exception. Okay, so after you create the interface, okay, like this public interface, the interface name, you have to write something called extends remote. Okay, extends remote. So remote is another interface. Okay, so remote is not a class, remote is an interface. Okay, now inside the interface we are going to create only one method, which is send to server. Okay, and it has one parameter, which is message, and this method is going to throw an exception called remote exception. So that's why we have imported this class here. Okay, so this is very simple interface which contains only one method. So second step is writing the server or implementation class. So this is the implementation class. So the implementation class is going to run on the server. Okay, so again right click the project, new class, and give the name like this, RMI underscore server. Okay, and click on finish. So I have already created the class which is RMI underscore server. Okay, so there are a few classes that we have already imported. One is remote exception, another one is locate registry, which is in the package java.rmi.registry. Another one is registry, which is again in the java.rmi.registry, and another one is unicast remote object, which is there in java.rmi.server package. Okay, now here there are two important things that you have to know. So after creating the class like this, public class, class name, you have to write extends another class name which is unicast remote object. Okay, which is already imported here, right? And you have to also implement the interface, which is the interface you have created previously. So this is the interface we have created, right? RMI chat interface. So the same thing you will give here, implements the interface name, right? So inside the class, you write a constructor for your class, and you write throws remote exception. Okay. So inside the constructor, just simply write super, where you are calling the super class constructor, which is unicast remote object. And after the constructor, you will override the method which is available in this interface. Okay. So what is the method available in this interface? Mm, so this is the method, right? Send to server. So the same thing we have written here. Okay. Now the body of the method we are writing here. System.out.println. We are writing client says whatever message the client has sent. So very simple. Now write the main method. Now there are some important things that we are writing in this main method. First of all, this main is going to throw different exceptions. So I have simply written the super class which is exception. Now inside the main method, you create the object for registry, where you will use another thing called locate registry dot the method name create registry. So simply what you are doing in this line is you are creating a registry service which is running at the port number 6000. So this 6000 is port number. Okay, your system will have different ports through which communication goes on. Okay, so one of the port is 6000. I mean the port number is 6000, right? And in the next line you will use this reference RMI registry dot, you will call a method called bind. Okay, and you are binding the name chat, okay, with the current class object. So what is this new RMI server? It is the, you are creating the object for this class. Okay, so this entire code will be accessible through port number 6000 through the name chat. So simply think that the server name is chat and the server is running at port number 6000. Okay, so once this line executes, we are printing a message called chat server is running. Okay, now that is the server class. Now let's go to the client. This is the last step we need to do. Now here we are writing another class, I mean importing another class called naming. And since we will read messages from the keyboard and send to the server, we are using the scanner class which is available in java.util. Okay, now the first thing we have done is creating a reference for scanner class, and inside the main method, uh, we are writing our code. Now if you see here, the main method also throws the superclass exception. Okay. Now the first thing in the main method is we are creating a reference for our interface. So RMI chat interface is our interface we have created. Okay. Now for that reference we are assigning the object which is returned by naming dot lookup. So naming is a class which we have already imported here. Okay. So in the naming class there is a method called lookup. So what is it going to look up is, so it is going to search for this chat reference which is running on the port 6000. So be careful here, this number must be same as this port number which you have created here where the registry is running. Okay, so the numbers must be same. If you give a different number here, your program will not work. So what is localhost means? Your system. Okay, the system on which the server is running. So in this demonstration what I am doing is I am running both client and server on the same system. If you want, you can run them on the different systems, and if you run on different systems, you will give IP address here, IP address of the another system. Okay, so please be careful with this string. You have to write it exactly in the same format. So first you have to write RMI colon double slash, okay, server name which is in this case localhost colon port number slash, okay, slash, and the name of the server. I mean the reference you have associated to the remote object. So let's not say chat is the server name. Let's say it is the reference name that we have given to the server object or remote object. Okay, so that is the first line. Now through this reference, we will access the remote object. Okay, so let's see. Now we are creating the object for the scanner class. Then we are printing two messages like connected to server and type a message for sending to the server. Then we are actually reading the input from the keyboard. So the client will be typing a message here. So if that message is not by, that means until the client types by, all the messages are sent to the server. Okay, so we are using the reference here, chat API. This is the thing, dot send to server. Okay, so what we are sending to server, whatever message we are reading from the keyboard, we are sending the same message to the server. Okay, and we are reading the message again from the keyboard, and we repeat this process until the user types by. Okay, I think you have understood the program, right? Now let's run this program. Before that, let me bring the console to the bottom. Okay, so here is the console. So I am saying I am running RMI server run. Okay, so it is saying chat server is running. That means it has executed this line. Chat server is running. Now let's go to client.java. Okay, now run the client. So client is also saying connected to server. Type a message for sending to server. So it is saying type a message. So I am typing hi. Okay, press enter here. Now you can see the server. Client says hi. Okay, now you have to, now if you see here, the console is displaying the server output. Okay, server program output. Now how to change from server output to client output is, so if you see here, there is a button called display selected console. Yes, this one. So click this arrow and you can see two programs, right? Server and client. Now click on this RMI client. Okay, so we got the client output. Now you can type how are you, enter. Okay, server is displaying how are you. Now again move to client, bye. Okay, So go to server, right? So it didn't display buy. Okay, so whenever the client types buy, that means the chat communication is terminated, right? So that's why the server is not displaying it. So this is how you create a client server application using a remote method invocation. Okay, so in this experiment, where you might be thinking, where is remote method invocation means? So this line is the remote method invocation. Okay, so from the client, we are accessing or invoking a method which is running on the server, right? So that's it for this video. Thank you.